Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from the Chennai Grandmasters round 4. It is Gukesh versus Alexandr Predke, and before we check out this game, there are more news, possible news from the Candidates Tournament 2024. Just in the previous video, I announced that Lennart, Dominguez Perez and Parham Maksudlu are no longer in contention for a FIDE Candidates Tournament, and we were down to the final 4, but it seems a new challenger emerged. Alireza Firuza will be playing a tournament where he will play 6 rated games, and the average rating of his opponents is 2,500 and something. So in order to actually qualify and overtake Wesley, because he's trailing by some 4.5 points, Wesley's some maybe 5 rating points higher rated than him, Alireza will have to win all 6 games. Probably 5.5 out of 6 will not be enough for him. He will have to take it 6 out of 6, and he already played the first game today, and he won. So he already overtook Lennart, and now it is only Wesley that is stopping him from qualifying in the Candidates Tournament. I still haven't seen the game. I will probably get it tomorrow, and then I will check it out. But now let's focus on this one. Also could be very important for the FIDE Candidates Tournament, not via the rating spot, but via the FIDE circuit. So let's check it out. It is Gukesh versus Alexandr Predke. Yesterday, Predke lost to Arjun. It was a really brutal fighting game, but you know that when Alexandr Predke plays that, it's gonna be a fun game to watch. So let's check it out. Gukesh has the white pieces, and he opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to c5. Predke goes for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, knight to c6, and now bishop to b5. The Nimzovich-Rossolimo attack, and pawn to e5. It looks like you can win a pawn here, but you've seen enough games that you know that this is impossible, because after you capture, queen d4 just attacks the knight and the pawn. But just to be sure, so castles, and now there are many games that reach this position, and top move here is bishop to d6. Later on you're going to put it to c7 and only then advance the d pawn. Some other popular moves like knight to g to e7, pawn to d6 right away, but here we have bishop to e7, and it is already now, as of move 4, that we have a completely new game. So how does Gukesh go about this? Well, just a normal development, rook to e1, and now knight to d4. Again, seemingly breaking opening principles by moving the same piece twice. But okay, who are we to judge such strong players? Knight captures on d4, c captures, and now pawn to c3, challenging the pawn center here. Knight to f6, and now c captures on d4. We have e captures and d3. So Predke is still stuck with the double d pawn, but it could also be very strong if it puts pressure on Gukesh's position. Let's say c3 and d3 squares. If you can hold on to those squares for the rest of the game, should be very nice. We have castles, knight to d2, and now pawn to d5, striking in the center, stopping knight to c4. We have pawn to e5, advancing, and now knight to d7. We have knight f3, preparing to pick up the pawn on d4, and queen to b6, defending and attacking the bishop on b5. And here you should play pawn to a4. It seems like the cleanest way to tackle this setup. Point being that if black charges with a6, you will trade here, captures, and you will play a5, and you will just very nicely control the entire board. But here Gukesh went back, bishop to a4, and now Alexandr gets a very nice position. Knight to c5, okay, attacks the bishop, bishop c2, and now bishop to g4. And now Gukesh cannot take the d4 pawn unless he wants to play something like h3 and g5, kick away the bishop, and then capture. But this will sort of weaken his king side. And interestingly, that's exactly what it does. It's the candidate spot that is on the line, and he goes for it. h3, bishop to h5, and pawn to g4. We have bishop to g6, and now knight captures on d4. Okay, he grabs the pawn, and he is now up a clean pawn. We have knight back to e6, offering a trade of knights, and now, well, you could go knight to f5, and it does look like a very nice move. Gukesh just goes back, knight to f3, rook 8 to c8, and now bishop to b3. The queen can't really move anywhere, as the bishop will be poorly placed here, so bishop to b3, and also now you can develop your dark square bishop, since the queen will not be attacking the b2 pawn. We have queen to b5, putting pressure on the d3 pawn, and Gukesh just advances it to d4. We have pawn to bishop to b4, attacking the rook here. rook to e3, and now knight to f4. And Predke really has a lovely position here. The problem is it's already close to losing, but neither of them really picked up on this. And even when I looked at what the big deal was with the engine, I still don't get it. Like the engine says knight h4 and it's winning for white. But you know, engines are weird creatures, and the point is that whatever black plays, let's say rook f to d8, you will put a knight to f5, and okay, it looks nice. I mean, who's saying that it doesn't look nice? And now after black plays something, you will bring the rook to f3, put pressure on that knight, and once the knight moves, you will put the rook to g3, and the engine says this is just overwhelming. But yeah, of course, we are not engines, so we have just bishop to d2, contesting the bishop on b4, and now knight captures on h3. Also, what the engine move idea did is that it defended the h3 pawn by just moving the knight. But here, Gukesh just says, no, take the pawn. You can have the pawn. I'm going for the win here. Knight captures on h3 check. King g2, knight f4 check, and king to g3. Gukesh attacking the knight with the king. Knight back to e6, and now pawn to a4, which also means that Gukesh will win the d5 pawn. So queen to a5, you cannot leave the bishop here defenseless, and now bishop captures on b4, queen captures, and bishop captures on d5. And this gives him a passed d pawn, but also a very, very dangerous e pawn. And here, you can't really capture on b2. If you capture on b2, then rook to b3 is extremely annoying. You have to trade queens here, and once the queens get off the board, rook captures on b7, you'll pick up the a7 pawn, you'll start advancing the passed a pawn. Bishop already guards the queening square. This is very good for white. So instead, rook to c2 by Alexandr, going after the b2 pawn this way, but now Gukesh just pushes it to b3. And okay, rook to d8, putting pressure on the bishop. Also, once the bishop moves, you will go after this pawn on d4. Again, my phone starts listening to me, and it even narrates what I'm saying for some reason. Bishop to c4, and now knight captures on d4. So the d pawn is gone, but you still have the very dangerous e pawn. Knight captures on d4. We have rook to d2, now winning the piece back, and now queen to e1, paralyzing the rook here. If the rook moves, then the queen on b4 hangs. So of course, rook 8 captures on d4, and now we have pawn to e6 right away by Gukesh. A slightly more precise move order would have been rook to a2. Yeah, just put more pressure on the rook here. Remember, the rook cannot move, and once the queen is defended, now you play e6, and now you have some very nasty tactics here. For example, if f captures, you're going to play rook captures on d2, and after queen captures, you will play bishop captures on e6, and now, okay, you can't really go here due to rook f3 check, so you're going to have to go to h8, but still rook f3, trying to sacrifice the queen for a nice checkmate on f8. So pawn to h5, let's say, making some room for the king, but now you will just, sorry, not that, obviously you will you will trade, and now just g captures on h5, bishop captures, and rook to f5, winning a pawn. Once the bishop moves, doesn't really matter where, you're going to pick up a pawn. The b3 pawn is defended. You will also very quickly pick up the b7 pawn, and it will be winning. But Gukesh went for e6 right away, and now what do you play here? Well, the most resilient way to face this move is rook captures on c4, but it's still not a lot. Like rook captures, e captures on f7 with check, bishop captures, now b captures rook, and now let's say you give a check, king to g2 and h6, giving some breathing room for your king. If you capture the pawn, then rook to e8 could be really annoying. And okay, black continues to fight, but it's not pretty. But instead, Predke went for queen to d6 check right away, and now king to h3. And now there really aren't all that many great moves. F captures on e6, potentially the best defense, but here pawn to h5 was played, sort of giving the black king some breathing room on h7, and also preparing to go after the white king, but the position could not be more winning for Gukesh. So feel free to pause the video and find the winning idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on figuring out that the pawn is unstoppable. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is pawn to e7. Yeah, you even have, I didn't enable the clock times for this one, but Predke was down to some 2 minutes and 50 seconds, no, down to 1 minute and 50 seconds when he made his last move. So he still had some time to figure out that he shouldn't allow e7, but obviously any move isn't spectacular. So pawn to e7 was played, and now the problem is you don't have a way to go after the white king. If you play h captures and g4 check, king will move, now queen to c6 with check, king to g1, there's no continuation, and e8 is unstoppable. You can't even play f6 due to the pin here. So instead, after e7, he said, all right, it's now or never. He played rook captures on g4. Now e8 queen, Gukesh gets another queen intergame, king to h7, and now just bishop captures on f7. And what do you play here? If you trade, I mean, a white is up a queen, you can't really trade. So here he tried queen to f6. It's a neat trick. If Gukesh actually captures the rook, he will deliver checkmate on h4. But of course, Gukesh, you will not qualify for the candidates tournament by playing such moves. He played bishop captures on g6 with check, and that's pretty much it. King to h6 was played. If you capture, I mean, it doesn't really do all that much. King to h6 was played. Now queen to h8 with check. King captures, and now finally rook to e6, winning the black queen, stopping checkmate. And okay, a few more moves were made. Rook to h4 check, king to g2, even rook captures, rook to g4 check. Now you have to go to the f file, otherwise black will have a perpetual. So king to f1, and now he frees up his queen. Rook captures on f2 with check, queen captures on e6. But it doesn't matter. Gukesh is still up a full queen. So rook to e1 goes after the black queen, queen to a6 with check, but now rook to e2, and he was in this position on move 44 that Alexandr Predke resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Like, you almost have a perpetual, but not really. If you play something like queen to d3, prepare queen to d1 check, okay, you have the rook controlling the g file. It's merely a matter of a couple of checks, like queen e8 check, and now if, okay, you go here, then queen captures on h5, so you go to h6, but then queen e to e3 with check forces a queen trade, and that's pretty much it. You're up a queen now, and you will very quickly checkmate the black king. So yeah, after rook to e2, Predke resigned, and a nice victory for Gukesh, which ties him with Pentala Harikrishna for first place. And remember, we said that Arjun needs to win clear first in order to qualify for the candidates tournament via the FIDE circuit. But for Gukesh, it is enough to win shared first, and he will also qualify for the candidates tournament. So he has much better chances. And like I said, he's currently tied with Harikrishna on 2.5 out of 4. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Still, many things are possible, and we'll see what Alireza does. He already won one game. What he does with the other 5 will be interesting. But FIDE also had something to say about this. I don't want to trick you guys, so I'm just gonna read to you what FIDE said. Let me just load it up. Yeah. Seems that they are onto it, and they say today on December 18th, the mini matches featuring Grandmaster Alireza Firouzja began in Chartres in France, his hometown. The 6-game tournament pits Alireza Firouzja against 3 veteran players with an average rating of 2497. So some are below 2500, some are above 2500, and concerns have arisen regarding the tournament's potential purpose, whether it was orchestrated to aid Mr. Firouzja in boosting his rating for potential qualification into the candidates tournament 2024. Now, the International Chess Federation would like to point out that according to clause 0.4 of its rating regulations, FIDE reserves the right not to rate a specific tournament. So they will obviously look into the tournament, look into how it's organized, look into the games, and if they find that something fishy has been happening here, then of course they will not rate the tournament. FIDE has already sent an official request to the organizers of the event. We will carefully follow and investigate all aspects of the organization of the above-mentioned tournament and all the games played by its participants before deciding whether to rate it. The International Chess Federation is dedicated to addressing not just this specific case, but also similar occurrences that may arise. Discussions will be held to explore potential amendments to the FIDE rating regulations, aiming to prevent such situations in the future. FIDE reiterates its unwavering commitment to upholding fair play and ensuring equal opportunities for all chess players. So there you have it. So things are happening. FIDE, the great watchful eye of FIDE, of course, sees everything, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. But yeah, some of you are comparing this to, yeah, but how did they allow Ding Liren to play all of those games to qualify for the candidates tournament? Well, Ding never actually needed rating. Ding just didn't play any games, and you have to play a certain amount of games in a calendar year to be able to qualify for the tournament. So it doesn't matter if he won them or if he lost all of them, he would still qualify. Okay, maybe not if he lost all of them, but I mean, he's Ding. He's not gonna lose games. So it's not really the same, and they were all incredibly fighting games. We've seen how he played. I mean, they were just brutal games, hard to calculate, like not any opening stuff, and then they maybe someone overlooked something. That they were really hard games to play. So it's not really the same thing, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Every day we have a new contender trying out for the candidates tournament, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and a little bit of extra info about the candidates tournament. Seems like every day we'll have new information, so stay tuned. I would like to thank an anonymous person, Benjamin Heberger, Elf on a Shelf, Gregory Novak, and Kenneth Few for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.